This is the Aftermarket Radio Network. Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarket's podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey, welcome everyone. It's Carm Capriato. Good to have you here. We've been the best grounded source for automotive service repair business acumen since 2015. Glad to have you here. I have an incredible guest with me, fellow shop owner, like most of everyone who's ever been on and who listens to the show. And this is Aaron Weber from D&E Auto Repair in Chico, California. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, how's it going? How are you, Carm?
It is great. Thank you. It's so interesting, Aaron, that we're recording this episode on the kind of the day that almost the entire island of Maui got devastated with a fire. And our story is very much aligned or similar and the same. So I don't know if the gods were watching us, man, but way back, and I believe it was November 2018? November 2018, when the Paradise Campfire hit. I think it was one of the most destructive fires in California history.
Yeah.
And you lived it, and we were thinking of what do we title this episode? And it's like overcoming life's changes, or we started from scratch with no forks, spoons, and knives.
And the funny thing is that's actually what happened. I guess it's not really funny. However, yeah, it really did happen. Forgive me, I don't remember it crystal clear. It's not like it happened yesterday. It did happen quite some time ago. However, a very difficult part of my life. And I want to start by saying thanks for letting me on the show to tell the story because, like you said, there are so many people that were hurt and affected by this fire, not just myself. So I'm honored to be able to tell the story here.
I'm happy that you're here. And there's a reason, because we need to hear the stories of triumph over adversity. And it doesn't matter. We could look at all different forms of challenges that we've had in our life. And you are a great circumstance being from the industry to tell your story as to basically how it happened. And I think the fortitude that you, the wife and the family had, because everything was destroyed. Everything. You had nothing. You had to start total scratch. So I love to hear stories like this because it makes me think, oh, are you kidding me? My life is nowhere like Aaron's was. And we always look at some tough parts of our world and think it's never happens to anyone else but me. And that's why I want to tell this story. And I think it's a great story. I think you're a great person. You got a great business. And let's jump into this. The kids were in school in Durham, and they saw smoke. This whole episode started.
Yep, absolutely. That's how it started. Let me back it up just a teeny tiny bit more. It all started on a cold, windy, stormy night, right? The wind was blowing like crazy. I mean, we're in Paradise. There's a bunch of trees and pine needles going everywhere. And of course, the next morning we wake up to a huge plume of smoke. And I think, okay, it's off in the distance, right? There's absolutely no way it's going to burn the entire town down. I give my wife a kiss. I tell my kids bye for the day, and I head to work. And then I get to work, and of course, my wife does her routine, which is, of course, take the kids to school down in Durham. We were on Neal Road, so it's a straight shot to Durham. She drops the older kids off at school, and then, of course, brings my young'un home because she had the day off. She was keeping her at home. I think she was 2 or 3 at the time. And she still remembers that, unfortunately. However, moving along here, my sister was down at the bottom of the Skyway, and that's on the opposite side of Paradise from where the fire started. She was at the clinic, and she's texting me. She's like, hey, Aaron, I'm at the bottom of Skyway at this clinic, and they're evacuating me. There's a fire right outside. And, of course, this was just like a couple blocks away from my house. And so I'm like, whoa, I need to get home and check on my family, right? Check on my wife. So, of course, I text my wife. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And she's horrible with the phone. I'm like, why do you even have a cell phone, woman? You never respond. But anyway, so it just made me worry even more. And so I go to my boss. I'm like, hey, buddy, that fire, apparently it's getting closer to my house, and I need to go check on my family. And my boss, being the stubborn ass that he was, he says, no, you're not allowed to leave. I was like, I'm not really asking. I got to go. I'll see you later. And so I go home, and I took Neal Road up, and it's the back way up. And I suspect if had I gone up the Skyway, which is the major route up, I probably would have been blocked and I wouldn't have been able to get to my house.
Got it.
So I go up the back way, and I'm probably about halfway up to Paradise. And the smoke is so bad by this time that it's actually like nighttime, right? So I'm driving in the dark. My headlights kick on, everything. It's bad. And so I finally get to my house and I see my wife. She's starting to throw a couple of items of clothes in the car. And then we had a guinea pig and a lizard. So she's loading those up. And my daughter's already in the car waiting. And so I get there and I'm just watching her because I assessed the situation because I had just got there. And it looked okay. It looked clear for a second. So I ran inside and grabbed a couple of laundry baskets of clothing. So I think in total, we probably got about three laundry baskets of clothing and our lizard and our guinea pig and our daughter. I got my truck. She got her car. And of course, we had a third vehicle at the time, which was a pretty nice truck, and we had to leave that behind. But I went outside after I got a load and I looked on the ground and there was an amber that had fallen from the sky and it was about the size of my palm. And I picked it up and it was hot. And like I said, the night before it had been windy. So there's pine needles everywhere. And so that was our cue to get the heck out of there. Any moment, I suspected that the pine needles could ignite and the fire would be right there. And we take off and we start heading down the Skyway. And that was a nightmare because it's limited on the routes that you could get out of town. And there's thousands of people trying to evacuate. And like I said, there was a fire at the bottom of the Skyway already because it was so windy. There were fires, spot fires everywhere. The traffic had slowed down the way that Paradise goes into Chico. Traffic was just incredibly backed up. And it was backed up all the way through Paradise. It was backed up into Magalia.
So you're standing still with the wife in vehicle next to you, and you're just crawling along.
Yep, absolutely. And luckily we got down in time. Like I said, when I saw our cue to leave, we got down in time that we avoided any of the heat. However, we were stuck in traffic for a very long time. I saw vehicles coming down the hill that were half burnt, half melted. It was insane. I was so thankful that we got out with what we did get. And a lot of people lost family in it. I'm super thankful that I wasn't one of those people.
Thank God you went back up. Thank God you went with your intuition to go and to help. Who knows what could have happened had you not been there to help.
Yeah. I thank my sister as well because she's texting me, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm getting evacuated. It's time for you to do the same thing.
Yeah, don't take chances. When something like that happens, you almost want to say, okay, let's not play it safe, or let's not think that it won't happen to us. Let's just do.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well,
Okay.
and like I said, by that point in time, I had already thought in my head that morning, there's no way it's going to burn the whole town, right? And
Sure.
just from that small amount of time, it was already on the opposite side of the town on fire.
Give me the time frame. You left work and you went home, you got what you can, and you're heading down, you're stuck in traffic. 2-3 hours?
To get from Paradise to Chico.
From work up to your home, where you were living where, in Paradise or Chico?
So we were living in Paradise on Neil Road, which
Okay.
was kind of a couple blocks down towards the lower edge of
Yeah.
Paradise on the exact opposite side of the town where the fire started.
Got it. But the time that you left work, the time you were heading back down the hill, a couple hours?
Yep, a couple hours.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. And when we did finally make it down the hill, I went to my sister's house, her apartment. She had a two-bedroom apartment, one bathroom, and her dog. So we get down there and we're watching the news and we're watching this live anchor on the bottom of Skyway explaining kind of some of the things that are coming down, like how he didn't understand why they're closing traffic going up and they're allowing people to come down on all four lanes. And to me, being up there, it was pretty obvious, right? They needed a way down. It made perfect sense to me. But just a lot of what ifs and a lot of people continuing to come down for hours with partially burnt and mangled vehicles. And it was, I don't know, man. It was.
Aaron, where were the rest of your children in school?
They were in school. Yep. They were still
Okay.
in Durham school at that point in time. They knew that the fire was there. However, they didn't know how bad it was yet.
Hey, look, if you earn your living in the automotive service aftermarket, Apex is for you. Now, if you attended Apex 2022, then you realize the incredible commitment that Apex has to the service professional shop owner and technician. Joe's Garage is your place to be with 10 working bays as you experience real live working conditions along with exciting demonstrations and the latest equipment presented. Also, the best tech companies from tools and repair to management software had their latest and the greatest on display. You also attended technical business management training with the industry's best and brightest. Work is already underway to make next year's Apex 2023 even better than ever with more product demos, trending training, marketing, and the latest in business management training to help you grow your sales and profits. Remember, if you earn your living in the aftermarket, then Apex is the expo for you. Continue listening as we bring you the latest from Apex 2023. Save the date, October 31st through November 2nd, 2023. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. Napa Tracks has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing tracks to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, will be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NapaTrax, that's NapaTracs.com.
Did they keep the kids on purpose, or did you have to go get them? Did they bring them? Of course, they couldn't bring them home.
Yeah, no, and like I said, traffic was so backed up the way that the towns are set up, the highway through Durham, the highway through Oroville, the highway through Chico, all of it was being used to get as many people out of Paradise as quickly as possible. So even if they would have excused our kids from Durham school, it would have taken us hours to get to them anyway. And at that point in time, they were far enough away from the fire that it wasn't really a safety issue.
Got it. Okay, so the wife worked where?
She worked up at Feather River Hospital in Paradise, and so that burnt.
Oh, my.
hmm
So she lost her job. Who had the insurance in the family?
So we had home insurance through a place, I forgot the name of it, but it was out of Europe somewhere. And so that was, I suspect we'll probably get into that, but that was just another torturous endeavor.
What about the healthcare side?
Healthcare.
Did she have it or you have it?
Wife. Yep.
Oh boy. Okay. So she loses a job. Obviously, there's some time to get that right. Is she working again now? Is she back?
Yep. Absolutely.
Cool. Did they rebuild the hospital?
No, I don't think they're going to. I'm not really sure, but she's down at Chico at Enloe, just loving it there.
Oh, great. It's 5 years ago now. I know it's so tough for you to recall all of this, but what an incredible story. So I remember you telling me, he says, Carm, I've got so much in me, I could write a book. The book is on the emotional fortitude that it takes to ultimately realize, take me back to when you finally got back up the hill to check on the homestead and realize that it was completely gone.
Yeah. So we tried to go up several times for multiple reasons, right? We wanted to get some information for our insurance, to try to get insurance. The National Guard was actually blocking our way. And so I understand they had a job to do. They were absolutely emotionless. They were absolute assholes. And forgive me my French, but I don't know how else to describe it. They were like literally going to shoot me if I tried to go to my property.
I guess they were given a job and they were doing it, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. They were given an order and that was what they had to do. Do your order, do your job, and get her done. And so I'm thankful that they're capable of doing that. And now we get to see that live and in action. However, it just really sucks that it had to be for us.
Because you were the receiver of that. It didn't sit well.
Especially considering the circumstance, right? It wasn't like I was vandalizing or...
Oh, yeah, it's not you were going to go and shoot your weapon at the enemy. You were going to check on the house. But okay, because I guess if they let everyone up, it could have gotten to be a bad cluster again and an uncontrollable thing. I understand what you wanted, but I will move on from there. But yeah, okay, so when did you finally get up the hill?
So I think it was several weeks later. We had to wait
Whoa,
for... Yeah.
really?
Yep.
So you didn't know. Did you assume you lost the house?
We started seeing videos on Facebook, right? Because there were like firefighters and different people that were allowed up there, and they would drive up Neil Road with their video camera rolling on their phone and video record side to side. And I caught a glimpse. At one point, somebody was video recording, and I just caught a teeny tiny glimpse of my property as he turned his phone, and I saw that it was gone. Just the only thing that was still standing was my chimney. So I knew that it was gone. So I knew that we needed to proceed and contact insurance and get the ball rolling. But it was still, like I said, a week, maybe even two, go up and see.
Aaron, I got an important question. Yeah, you were in the house. You had an opportunity to say, hey, we're in some deep trouble here. We need to pack up and go. Did you ever stop to think that you needed to take your little metal box of all your important papers and insurance documents with you?
No.
Boy.
And if you talk to anybody that's ever been in a situation where it's like flight or fight.
Yeah, you don't think of that. Yeah,
you just
I know.
Don't, you don't think, you just react.
Wow. Okay. All right. We could go on about that, but yeah, you're teaching me something new. Fight or flight. Who's thinking cohesively? Probably nobody. Okay.
Nope,
All right.
nope. And so ideally, if you think that there's a potential for any disaster like this, practice, man. Teach your family. Get into a routine where your body is used to doing these movements. So when it happens, you do it.
Got it. You find out the house is devastated. You finally get up there 2 weeks later, and you were living with your sister?
Yep. So we ended up staying with my sister at this little apartment complex in kind of a bad neighborhood in Chico. And we had a bedroom, so we got a couple of bunk beds, and we were all sharing bunk beds and extremely tight fit. So whenever we had the opportunity, of course, we wanted our kids to stay the night, family or friends or wherever it may be. We had quite a bit of help when it came to family and things like that. So luckily, we weren't confined to this one bedroom for days and
Yeah.
hours and weeks
Yeah.
and years. And
I was about ready to ask you. She's got a 2-bedroom or a 2-room apartment. She's a single person now. There is 8 in the house.
yep.
And I guess God bless her, but you and the wife probably said, "Hey, what can we do now?" You almost had a bunk down there for what, a couple of months or
Yes, absolutely. By the time that we actually got the proof that our house was burnt, of course, we had to do all these different things, measurements, etc., before we could get any kind of assistance through insurance. And so we got as much as we could, as fast as we could, so that we could get something from insurance. And it was in the nick of time because, like I had said to you when we were talking, it was out of the fire and it was into hell, literally, because going and trying to get assistance, there were a lot of people in the area that weren't even from the area getting that assistance. So we had to wait in line for these people that weren't even necessarily involved with the fire, taking advantage. And so it took from the systems. For example, we had a couple laundry baskets of things. Of course, not enough. It was pretty cold out. So we needed jackets, we needed bedding, we needed pillows, we needed everything. So we go to the Salvation Army and we were waiting for a few hours to get into the Salvation Army office to pick some items out for myself, my wife, and my family. And there's people in front of us and people behind us like, oh yeah, we didn't lose anything in the fire. However, we heard that they're giving away free stuff. So we're here to,
oh my.
right? And after a couple of hours of waiting in line, we finally get to go inside. And by the time we actually get inside, it was just picked clean. And so it was just a waste of time going there anyway. And that's a negative way to look at it. I'm being a little pessimistic, but it was a little frustrating spending that much time to wait in line to get Q-tips.
Oh my. And how do you quantify if someone did or didn't lose, but of course they were willing to tell you the truth while they were standing in line? Okay, but you recovered. You realized that not everyone's made of integrity and honesty and transparency. Some people always love to pop the system, but you really needed help, but you fought your way for it.
Yep. And we did. We received quite a bit of help, like I said, from my sister. We did a GoFundMe. We got quite a bit of funding from GoFundMe. Durham is a really small, tight knit community. They really helped us out with jackets, this or that. It was really amazing. Like I said, some really good people there. But I did find myself in a funk. I had to continue working because I was the one with the job. Taking a day off, like even the next day, my boss was like, hey, you got to come back to work. Right. So we had to get back into the grind. But I fell into this funk, this mindset where it was like, okay, just zombie mode, right? We'll get through it. Zombie, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. Robot. What really woke me up? One evening, I was at my sister's house and I took the trash out. And I walk out, and her trash dumpster is enclosed with a fence 3 ways around it. And I'm walking out to the dumpster with this trash, and I go to throw it in the dumpster, and this guy stands up in the back and he has a needle in his arm, like literally shooting up right there. And so I dropped the garbage and I threw my fists up because I thought he was like going to want to try to fight or something. And he's like walking towards me like a zombie. And he puts his hands up and he's not like, I don't want to fight. And he's just like pointing over off to the side, like trying to get by me because that's where his bike was. And he just wanted to take off. And it really opened my eyes in the fact that, okay, I really need to get my poop in a group. I have kids. What if one of my kids would have taken the trash out and experienced that? We got to get this going. And so luckily, a little bit of the GoFundMe, and then we started getting some of the insurance, and then we ended up really hitting different realtors really hard, and we got lucky finding a realtor that helped us find a place in Orville. So we moved into Orville and got away from my sisters and that scenery.
Yeah, wow. I want to stop and I want to go back just a few minutes about the fact that you had to go to work the next day. There's such an incredible lesson here for our industry. We talk about technician employee retention a lot on our show and what we do to make that happen. We talk about culture a lot and how critical and important it is to grow a great team, love, caring inside of a business, team, family. It sure doesn't sound like you had that there.
Nope. And I didn't stick around.
Yeah, the point is, yeah, you have your own shop. Did this experience that you went through with employer and everything make you a much better leader in your shop now?
Absolutely. Compassion is absolute a must have. Empathy, and sometimes even in the right scenario, some sympathy. We got to do it. And one big thing that I learned from all this is it's okay to love hard. As a matter of fact, I don't think that there's anything better.
I love that. Aaron, I'm telling you, love hard. Wow. I love to find these pearls of wisdom that come out of all of our shows, and that is huge.
Yeah,
Love hard. I don't
I
think
think
you could have ever come up with that, Aaron, had you not gone through all of this.
absolutely not.
And there are so many of us that have there's a breast cancer diagnosis, or we've lost a loved one because of a terrible illness. We have addiction issues or problems in life. All this stuff happens. And I guess we sometimes say, woe is me. Why did it happen to me? It's difficult to get through the roller coaster of life. But one of your greatest lessons that came out of yours was love hard.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Since you mentioned that roller coaster life, another lesson that came from it for me is we're always going to have these ups and downs, right? And this was a really low down for me. But at the end of the day, and looking back, it was mine. It's mine forever. No matter how low it was, or however bad it was, or whatever happened to me and my family, I can take something out of it that I learned, and I can move forward and be optimistic and positive about the fact that it was my ride. I survived it. I learned something, and here we are doing something better now.
Yeah, I'm hearing you say you overcame the feelings of what it is to start from scratch. I can't imagine the hill you looked at, but something inside of you, the wife, the family said, we can get through this.
We have to. We look at our children, and yeah, absolutely. Like after the fire, being at my sister's and then going to a hotel to get a little bit of our own space, or here or there, wherever it was that we were, not even having a spoon or a fork to put down for my children to eat their food with was really eye-opening. It's not a place that I've been since I was 18 and moved out of my parents' house. And even then, I didn't have nothing.
There was always a spoon or a fork you could probably go back to if you needed.
Absolutely. And there's every once in a while, mom and dad maybe helps here, have some silverware for your new place, or you can take your bedding with you that you had at your mom and
Yeah.
dad's, things like
Yeah.
that.
So you bumped into some real bad people, for example, at the Salvation Army, but you probably discovered a lot of amazing people too.
Yep, absolutely. Another one of these life lessons through this event is there's some really bad people out there, right? There's some really shitty people that are just ready to take advantage of anybody, anytime, always. And they will, and they do it, and they're very good at it. I learned that there's opposite side of that spectrum. There's people that are just great. Had it not been for them, we wouldn't have made it through as quickly as we did. And that was eye-opening all in itself, because it was like, if they have that compassion and that power to share and care, and that makes me feel this positive about my future and where we go from here, why don't I try my hardest to get us back to where we're stable enough to help other people that experienced it too? Because like I said, there's so many people that were affected by this campfire, right? And even to this day, I have customers that come in and they're like, yeah, I lost everything, and so many people are impacted. So if I could get myself into a position to help others that were impacted, even better, right?
I find it fascinating that the fire was in November 2018 and you bought D&E Auto Repair 6 months later.
Yep.
Wow. It's so interesting. We could probably do an entire episode on how you pull that off. Was it a going business?
It was. However, it wasn't quite as turnkey as I had thought. I can dig into it a teeny tiny bit here if time
Sure.
allows.
Give us a few minutes on that.
Okay, sounds great. I went to take a peek. As a matter of fact, there's another shop owner here in Chico who owns Affordable Auto, who I absolutely admire. And he knew that I was looking for a shop, and he gives me a call. He's like, hey, go check out D&E. It's for sale, and I'm probably going to pass on it. And so I'm like, oh, hell yeah, thank you, man. I'm going to go check it out. And so I come and I roll into the parking lot and I look around, and it's the biggest shithole I've ever seen in my life. There's a fence down in the middle of the road, and there's weeds growing everywhere, and there's car parts all over, metal everywhere, and it looks like a jungle. This is an automotive repair shop. I go inside the shop to talk to the owner, and the same thing inside, right? What is this place? And so we start chatting and we get everything going and we're
So
and
now
we're
you know
all
why the other guy passed on it. Okay.
now it's all making sense. He's like, oh yeah, maybe a little too much work for me right now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I know you can do it, Aaron. So I hop in here and I'm chatting with him. We negotiate and we determine a price, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to dedicate some time and clean it up and make it shine, or try to. However, I thought in talking with him that it was going to be a turnkey shop. And I think that I got a total of like maybe 10 customers and a really bad reputation to start with, as well as all this cleanup, right? It was pre-existing. It was a facility or a name that's been in Chico for 20 plus years. However, it had definitely been put into the dirt over the last probably 10 years.
So you and I could do an episode on doing good due diligence someday, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's, oh, I'm not going to share my customer base with you because I don't want you to steal it. But we know that wasn't the case, right? He just didn't want me to know the customer base.
Yeah, how bad it was.
Yeah, or the lack thereof, rather.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I guess I'll just end it on this note. We did get a little bit of insurance money. We got a place in Oroville. And of course, we got enough insurance to start replacing items for the children. And I'm like, man, I've been trying to start my own shop for a long time. When we were in Paradise, I lost all my tools because I was doing mobile repairs up there because I was trying to start a facility, put money in the bank. And of course, I lost my tools and all that. But hey, kiddos, what do you guys think of me going and buying this business? Now, it's going to leave me with just enough money to potentially replace one item that you lost in the fire. If I get it, I can replace one item that you lost in the fire. So let me know what it is if you want to do this, if you think we should, and I'll replace that item. And of course, my boys are like, we got to get our dirt bikes back. And then our daughter, art supplies. She definitely needed art supplies. She's super into art. And they were like, go for it. Do it. Let's do it. And so again, I had to sacrifice to make it happen. But we did it. They decided, they were part of the decision, and we went for it.
You run a great business and make a lot of money. You can give those kids those rewards for helping you get to become your own owner, your own entrepreneur. Wow. I love how you offered them an opportunity, but they said, "Hey, Dad, we don't need everything. Just give me this." And we'd love to see you get your business. I can't imagine the learning curve, your personal learning curve over all of this, the things that it taught you of personal survival. Again, I go back to this book you could write. Wow.
Definitely keep your eyes open, stay vigilant. I was hoping that my wife and my daughter learned a little better. The other day I saw them in a restaurant and it was my lunch break, and they had actually went there to get me a smoothie to bring it to me at work, but I was already there getting myself a sandwich. Well, I was standing in the corner waiting for my sandwich, and they walked into the shop and they didn't even see me there for 5 minutes. And I'm like, man, after the fire, like, we got to remember, like, things happen and we have to be vigilant. We have to be ready. And so one of the things that I learned, unfortunately, is there are a lot of bad people in the world. And I want my family prepared for that, because what if I was a bad dude standing in the corner and they needed to know that I was there? Be vigilant, pay attention to your surroundings.
Wow. Great lesson.
Yeah, because you never know. You never know.
Great lesson. It's almost, I don't even want to say, I shouldn't even say this, but that the fire put you down a completely different path
Oh, yeah.
of life and taught you so much. What do you take into the business as far as, okay, you've been in there a bunch of years now. Have you overcome, gotten the new customers, hired some really good people, cleaned it up? Again, I know you told me the story, but did surviving the fire and changing your attitude about people help you grow a great business?
No, because it didn't teach me everything that I needed to know.
Okay.
And luckily for me, there are all these really intelligent entrepreneurs, business owners like that you interview constantly that I can look
Yeah.
up to and learn from and grow, and
Okay.
sometimes learn myself as well. But
So you're on a perpetual learning curve. That's what's going on with you, right?
yep, absolutely. Always learning, always moving, always progressing, always doing better. And it goes back to life has its ups and downs, right? Because I got the shop and then I was offered this opportunity for an expansion here on this property. So I took it. But then thereafter, I'm starting to have some staff issues. And now we're getting some good staff in, like really good staff. And it's, everything happens for a reason. And so now we're going from, this is your ride, enjoy the ups and the downs. But remember, and this is true, everything happens for a reason. And with the fire, with this expansion, with everything in my life, I continue to learn this lesson over and over again. And it's true. Don't be afraid to let go, because everything happens for a reason.
Boy, that is so true. I can't remember. In the last week, I was chatting with someone about life's ups and downs, and I brought the analogy of the stock market. It doesn't matter what chart you look at. the ups, the downs, the ups, the downs, long as we hopefully see a forward trend, an upward trend, and not some of the downs we've had over life. But once you get things chugging right, it's never a solid up curve. There's always a dip here or there. So and to your point, you win some, you lose some great people, some good customers, having to learn new tech, challenge in the bays. And you can't be 110% every minute of every day of every year.
And if you are, something's wrong. Absolutely.
You're lying to yourself. That's what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yep.
You're lying to yourself and the world around you.
Absolutely. Take those downs and enjoy them, right? And I mean, sometimes they're not enjoyable. So I get that. You can't enjoy it, but
But you
you know,
learn from them. Your greatest down in your whole life changed you as an individual. You are a different person.
absolutely. And so perception and attitude are a couple of the things that I've been learning a lot about. And through that was a huge lesson for something for me to carry on forever
Yeah.
and to teach to other people, like your attitude. Oh my God, you can do anything. You can take over the world with the right attitude. You can.
This was great. I so appreciate you sharing this. I guess we would want to say to our audience, just imagine everything that is around you right now, the car you're driving, the bike you're on, the lawnmower you're cutting the grass with, the family that you're looking at, the chair that you're sitting in, the TV, the church you go to. Just think if it all just went away and you were standing in the rubble. And it's difficult to even think, but it does happen. And Aaron's living proof of being able to overcome and find the right attitude and restarting from scratch without a fork, a spoon, and or a knife. Last word, my friend.
Probably the biggest lesson that I've learned out of all of this, man, is if you're offered an opportunity, don't pass up. You're never too old to start over if you have to.
Yeah, you don't have to lose a home in a devastating natural disaster like this was. I'm just double checking. Was this a natural disaster or something else? I don't
Uh,
remember.
no, not natural. PG&E.
Okay. So here we go. It's just a great lesson. Don't let life's ups and downs knock you off. Aaron Weber, DNE, Auto Repair, Chico, California. Now, I'm sure you learned something from this episode. I'm sure you did. So now use it and go get it done. Thanks.